Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining in. Just a few minutes to get started here. Brett, I'm going to sending you a invitation to speak. Thanks for joining. Hey, Dev. Sending the team invitations.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, good morning.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining in. Let's go ahead and we're going to give it a few minutes before we get things kicked off to get some more people in. And hi, Zana. Yeah, we can bring you in. Welcome.
Do we still have you, Sean?
Yep, I'm here.
Just inviting people, giving it a little bit here.
Yeah, if everyone wants to go in and invite by DM, if there's anyone you think could join in, get a couple more people in here.
Or even better yet, go down to the little comment bubble, hit that or share, and you can retweet this, get it out to your peeps. Talking like the true millennial that I guess I am.
Just a few minutes before we get get started. Welcome. I guess we should talk about something while we wait, so it's not just empty space. Tanya, I just sent you an invitation to speak. Come in and shoot the shit with me a little bit.
I need to get my computer set up so that I can play some music here while we're sitting waiting.
Oh, that's a good idea. That would be fun. Have some music going and getting everything ready. Oh, hey Tyler. Sending you an invite. Oh, hello, Web3 Gallery. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you for joining us, Web3. Actually, I'm going to pull you in as a speaker. You don't have to talk if you don't want to, but I'm going to pull you in as a speaker real quick, Web3.
Oh. Zana? All right, yeah, here we can. Requesting. Hold on. Where did that go? I'm sorry. Every time the request pops up and it. Oh, there we go. Okay. It pops up and then it goes away.
There we go. Web3's in here. Nice to see you in here, Web3. Is this Andrew running it or Drew?
Yeah, it's Andy. How's it going?
Good.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, definitely. Glad to have people in here. We give it a little bit for everybody to come in. Make sure you, everybody that's in here, tweet this out and hit the invite via DMs if you haven't yet. Hey, Sean, just ignore that request. They keep coming in and popping out.
Okay. Yeah. We can open things up for questions later. I think we've got people coming in to speak first. So Yeah, I think later in the talk we'll open it up for questions.
100%. I know you're on an iPhone, so you're able to see people that I'm not, Sean.
Okay.
Is Ninja in here yet?
Nope, not yet.
Okay, get him in here.
Yep. Here, let me send this link out.
Check on Telegram. And if you guys haven't yet, make sure to just go down to that comment bubble, bottom right-hand side, hit the retweet if you have not yet. I'm going to do it myself, even though I have a pen. Tyler, how you doing?
Sick, still kicking my ass.
I feel you, man. I'm over here menting away, and I'm sick as a dog.
Yeah, dude.
We actually have some NFTs minted. They're just not public yet. I just want the big batch to come up, just so everybody knows with our shoplith.com. It's not super pretty yet, but we got the functionality there and in place. And we are going through our first artist mint here, so that's really exciting. Everything is going to go public by Monday, no later, with probably about 25 different NFTs, maybe closer to 30 of different art. We have 10 different artists that will be up there. I know we're trying to squeeze in a watch company that was supposed to be here a while ago. They haven't gotten us deliverables yet, but if they do sometime over the weekend, I'll be able to include them. So that'll be pretty cool. And then we got Ninja, actually. There we go. I got you added as a speaker, Ninja. Jason. You're going to have to unmute yourself, Jason, but...
One sec. It just, my speakers got really loud when you guys accepted that for some reason. And I was like, oh, well, now there's going to be a bunch of echo.
I get it. Oh, we got Tanya requesting. Let's make sure we get her up here.
Yep, I just accepted it.
So with you and me as co-hosts, we can have up to 10 speakers. So if anybody else wants to jump in, join the conversation. This is actually a pretty important conversation today. We're trying to set ourselves apart here at LITH Token with our spaces and not be so much about the yelling and screaming and degen activity. I mean, we can get down to having some fun in here too. And reality is, if somebody comes in here and is disrespectful in this space, I'm going to just mute you and probably kick you. So just keep it respectful in here. Everybody that's tuning in outside of Twitter, you are being multicast onto other platforms as well. And everybody here on Twitter, you are being multicast out to LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube as well. So there are people viewing, watching, listening right now outside of what you see here on just the Twitter space. We are doing a multicast with this. So everybody that's not on Twitter, if you want to come in and engage in real time, you're going to need to do it on Twitter. And if you want to speak with us verbally, you're going to need to hop into Twitter Spaces on your mobile phone, so that way you can actually communicate with us. But love everybody hopping in here today. This conversation is probably one of the most relevant right now in this week because a lot of scammers have been coming out of the woodworks in Web3, coming back. And making a presence online and Twitter and with different projects going on that are kind of at the forefront of Web3. And, it's kind of crazy that people are able to do this. And, me personally, I'm able to dox myself and go through the whole process of making sure that people know who I am because I have nothing to hide, right? And I know the team members at LITH Token, we've all decided it was best that we all just be self-doxed completely, 100%. And we know that we can protect ourselves in this space 100% and not have to hide behind an avatar. Yes, I have an avatar up, but I actually have my name there. I actually have my information. I'm Googleable. I have information out there about me, not a ton in blockchain just because I'm a self-taught technologist, but I have nothing to hide. So being able to have my identity out there is one thing, but also another thing is being able to actually protect yourself on blockchain through everything. There are reasons to have protections in place and not have your name immediately available to different big brother scenarios. And really, I guess I just want to, before diving too deep into things and it just being a monologue here, I want to see what people's thoughts are in this space right now. And clearly, this is something that can be relevant to physical NFTs and the direction we're going with the known technology, and we can talk on that later. But I want to hear from different people in Web3. I would love to get some input on what your thoughts are in the Web3 space with just identity protections, and whether we all dox or let everybody know who we are as individuals. That's kind of a personal choice right now, and there's a lot of debate behind that right now. Web3, do you have any thoughts behind that, or are you pretty neutral?
I'd say I'm neutral. I think that for those who have, I think that it can go both ways. And I think that I'm open to, me personally, I'm doxxed, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on, social media, easy to see who I am, and the partners as well, the owners, they're all doxxed. But I think that it's up to each individual to make that decision.
Yeah, ultimately, I kind of agree with you, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of the projects that are getting a majority of that exposure in the bull market, especially, not necessarily so much right now during the bear markets. I feel like there's just not much going on, so I can't really compare apples to oranges here. But during a bull market, a lot of the projects that are getting attention are being run by people that are smooth talkers, running these Twitter spaces behind an avatar, fake name, fake everything, and a lot of them are scammers that are repeatedly rug pulling people. And this is in the NFT space, not just cryptocurrency in general, but the NFT space as a whole is seeing a lot of this right now, where people are going in, self-minting free NFTs to themselves, creating a project, rising that floor price, and then just rug pulling everybody, literally by selling out at reduced prices that are well below that floor price, and really just rocking things out in a way that's very detrimental to the space, I'd say. But I don't know. This is just a weird conversation because I feel like it is a choice, but at the same time, I'm going to throw out there, like Web3, you're just saying you and your team are doxxed, and I know at LITH Token we're doxxed, and the types of partners we're able to work with, since we are doxxed, are huge. And when I throw out the fact that, hey, I've got partnerships in the oven right now, and if I throw out their names, I have to be held accountable to that. It's not just some bogus scenario or situation that I can put out there and have everybody feeling all confident about something, and just back away from it and say, oh, it just didn't happen. There's got to be a rhyme and a reason to it, and I feel like in the spaces, not just Twitter spaces, but the actual different companies and communities out there that are run by people behind avatars. How do you know who you're talking to as an individual, as a consumer or buyer or user of the NFT technology? So I don't know. I'm not quite as neutral as you, but I definitely am neutral. Give me a second. I see that you popped off speaker roll. Bring it back up. Brett, yourself as an artist, I want to ask you too. What are your thoughts on the whole aspect of identity protection here in Web3? Because I feel like it's one of the more relevant topics this week, just because these scammers, rug pullers have been coming out of the woodworks so heavy in a very public space in all the communities across the board. But as an artist who it doesn't hide behind avatars I guess in the art world, traditional art world or IRL art world, you have your Banksies of the world, and I feel like you're a guy that has a finger on the pulse and the beat here. What's your opinion at this point?
Um, just in terms of anonymity or just being.
Yeah.
Well, I think as an artist, you have to, you got to create a persona, right? Which is the branding of the business side of being an artist, right? Like if people don't know who you are, then you can't have opportunities within the art realms, right? Art markets. So this, art markets are probably the most speculative industries in the world. So it's all based on speculation, and so you have to build a name, right? You have to assign your name to the work, and people got to think of the name when they think about your work. Like I've been scammed, like within the NFT space. I think most people that are in the crypto realms have been scammed at one point or another, right? It's sort of like a doxing, being doxed for, entry to crypto. Yeah, but like even like with Banksy, like I worked with a gallery for years that discovered Banksy. You know what I mean? Like Steve Lazaridis is responsible for discovering him and then building Banksy up. Right? They within 2 years they were both world famous. So like within certain circles, people do know who Banksy is. Right? People know his name. People that know how he got started. But it's that like remaining anonymous. Like holding on to that mystery is what people like. People don't want to know who he really is. But even Banksy is branded, right? Like Banksy's branded as Banksy. He's branded as, for the work that he makes. So people know him. Maybe don't know his real name, but they know him for being Banksy. So yeah, I mean, personally speaking, I think that as an artist, you have to kind of reveal who you are if you want any sort of intention, or build some sort of branding around you as an individual or a person. Because Warhol said it best, is like everyone will be a celebrity for 15 minutes, or everyone will have 15 minutes of fame in the future, or something like that. But he really understood, like artist as celebrity, right? And it's like the artist has to be known if they want to be a professional artist, right? Or make a living as an artist. You have to be known as an artist, right? Or your work has to be branded to who you are. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I answered the question. I mean, I know you can be an artist without revealing your true self. I personally don't do that, but I'm not opposed to it. Like artists like Banksy and like Fail's a two artists that don't go by their first or last names. I mean, there's a bunch of artists that do it. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm not really educated enough to have a strong opinion on Web3. I mean, I know the basics of decentralization of it and the importance around that, but other than that, I'm probably not the best person to ask.
Oh, hey, that's all right. And we're all here to kind of discuss and learn and figure it all out. And I'll bring up the relevancies to the Node protocol and physical NFTs and where we're going with this in a moment. But I guess with you saying that, kind of lay down the framework of the debate. And before I get into that, Sean, can you bring Web3 up? I've been trying to, and it's not allowing it for some reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
But with the whole framework of everything being debated here is the fact that the blockchain is supposed to be transparent, right? We're all it's supposed to be able to look at these transactions and see them and know whether somebody's a good actor or a bad actor. And now you have Ethereum and a few other proof of stake algorithms that are in place with protocols that also allow for censoring of bad actors, you would think that should be enough in this space. And I kind of agree with that, but at the same time, I think that there's the flip side here with the framework in this debate also that is not talked about enough, and that is the fact that blockchain itself provides a lot of protections, and we're talking security, we're talking the capability to put stuff on a hardware wallet and not have myself attacked, and there's elements to the self accountability that need to be had in this space, and blockchain provides the opportunity for certain amounts of privacy and prevention of being figured out what your location is. There's ways to do that, and I think the onus is more on the creators in this world. A lot of people will talk about there was back in 2017 or 2018 a guy that got held ransom for his Bitcoin. They were able to track him down because of his Bitcoin transactions, and that's great. But all he had to do was use, and not so great actually, but just saying that they were able to track him down tells me that somebody that's holding so much Bitcoin, having all these large transactions in the millions of dollars, wasn't using a VPN, and that's really all that needs to be done. And there's so many different elements to this when it comes to responsibility for creators. I think the onus is more on them than it is anybody else, making sure that the transactions that are happening for owners are safe. And reading the blockchain is not super easy for a lot of people, and we have to remember that. And I think Web3, where we're going, is a direction of actually having to be more transparent as individuals with self-doxing, and it does help. I mean, Web3, being doxed, you're able to have meetings with people without having any troubles. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Are you asking me or
Web3?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So sorry, the last bit cut out a little. So I missed the last bit of what you said. But I do think that, yeah, to your point, being doxed, it does allow for more successful partnerships to be had. And so when doing business, you want to know who you're doing business with. On the creator side, I think, maybe the artist, I'm okay with not knowing essentially who the artist is, especially if it's like a Banksy, let's say. But if I'm doing business with you, I want to know who I'm doing business with. And so I think that being doxed is important on that front.
Well, and even in those situations, like someone like Banksy would have would have an assistant, would have someone that would interact with you, and that would be the public face, and he would know Banksy's identity, but he would be the proxy between, and you would know who you're dealing with and who's accountable for the business deal, but you still wouldn't, that wouldn't lead to doxing. It's almost like it's almost like zero knowledge, but someone's got the knowledge.
Yeah, I think Web3 makes a really good point that that you need to know is somewhere along the line, you need to know that one piece of that puzzle is legit. Like, I don't care, who Banksy is, as long as the art that I'm receiving is made by that individual, right? So that's what you're looking for. And I think, Adam, that's probably where you're going with blockchain and navigating whether we have the actual piece of art that we're being told that we're getting.
Absolutely. So that's exactly what the known protocol helps establish, and really helps us get down to knowing that you're getting the piece of artwork or whatever product it may be. Say, go out, and art is not always the best example for everybody. But if I were to go ahead and go purchase a $150,000 car online, or say I'm going and buying a Lambo, it's $375,000. I want to make sure that I'm getting that product for real. I don't want to have some fake object up there. So being able to tie things in through the known protocol, I'm able to establish an escrow process on chain and have the transaction established with the physical object, knowing that that's real, while being able to protect an artist, but also knowing who the artist is. At the end of the day, we're getting down to conversations like we had a conversation on soulbound tokens recently. And if we start associating verified accounts, like kind of how OpenSea does, but without having to do it the way OpenSea does, exactly, using a decentralized mechanism of tokenizing who we are and what we say we're doing, and a little bit of a social algorithm tied in, the right one, that's decentralized and chosen by the right community. I feel that we can establish an identity chain all tied to known protocol. Whether people chip themselves or have an ID badge or something of that nature, just to be able to prove they are who they say they are, with a central location. At the end of the day, you need something to establish as some trusted source, whether it be somebody else acknowledging it, recognizing it, that's a trustworthy person, or a LITH token, so you can create a multi-sig a scenario there where you have an actual engagement and it's verified by whatever person out there. It can still be done in a decentralized manner. It doesn't need to be done exactly by just LITH token. It could be, hey, Sean Gordon over here, if she weren't working for LITH token, let's say she's working over at Goldman Sachs still, we're now having her verify this. She says, okay, hey, this person's real, check them out, and that person has to check in real quick to be able to provide a transaction utilizing the known protocol. Those are the types of things that we can get into over time. And that even works with an artist. I mean, really, if it's in their wallet and it's verified by the artist already, that art is there and verified against that asymmetric encryption with that radio communication device. So sounds a little wild, a little sciencey, a little computer oriented. When we talk about computer science, a lot of people don't necessarily understand that architecture, but being able to protect the identity, I think is possible, but there needs to be a little bit of transparency there with identities of creators and businesses alike in this space, but mostly businesses. I agree with Web3 on that. I think the anonymity, it can be done, but there has to be an element to it here. And this is just an opinion a little bit. I can be a little bit of an idiot savant, and I'm sorry if that is the wrong language or verbiage, but
so I can come in here.
Go ahead, please.
Go ahead. I think the thing we're talking about really is a tough. Okay, I'm going to come in and I'm going to completely stutter over my words now. So something we've been talking about a lot recently is kind of Web3 mass adoption. Bringing people who are not in this space. We kind of, I think, get a little bit tunnel vision because we're in this space and everyone we talk to is in this space, and we know what we're talking about. But for someone that does not know this space, they're used to a certain level of transparency. And this was something, actually, Robert and I were talking about this yesterday when we were trying to find, thinking of art world and thing, and the Banksy example is kind of it's graffiti artists that you find. This anonymity is like the perfect example. And the fact is, okay, why are they being anonymous? And it's like, well, they're doing something illegal. And I'm not saying that it's bad. I mean, graffiti artists are not hurting people. They're actually, I would say, contributing to society in a positive way, but it is illegal and they have to hide. There's certain level of anonymity they have to create. And I think that's just something that is like an association in people's minds. Like, we're comfortable here in this space with people going by an alias, and you don't really know who they are. But for someone coming in from who's not part of the space, I think there's a certain level of comfortability that comes with knowing who the level of transparency, knowing who you're speaking with.
Yeah,
so that's
I don't know,
really...
Sean. I just want to actually, I'm going to disagree with you. I've never been comfortable with the anonymity in the
Okay.
space.
Yeah.
In any space. I mean, I'm right out there. Like, you Google my name and you're going to find 10 pages on me. So, I mean, you can, everything's out there, and it's always bothered me, and not just the NFT space, not crypto space, but just space in general online. The fact that people hide behind shell companies, people hide behind avatars, people hide behind fake names. Anyone who I can't find, I don't trust. So, and
Yeah.
honestly, even when I can find them, I don't trust them most of the time. So maybe I'm just not a trusting person in general, but that kind of thing, that hiding behind something, a shell company or avatar or whatever, all of that to me says, do not trust this individual. Now, that person may be completely trustworthy, but
Yeah.
they're presenting themselves in a way that makes them not trustworthy in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in a lot of people's minds, it makes them not trustworthy. So that's just where I stand about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's something coming in like that's I think something we had this conversation at LITH Token. We said we are going for mass adoption. We are trying to make this something that is comfortable for everyday users, someone coming in, and I think that transparency is some of identities. Putting your name out there is something that is important if you are looking for everyday users and mass adoption. And I think that's where Adam's making a point, is the reason people are hiding behind avatars, hiding behind shell companies, is it's not necessarily because they're doing something illegal or something they shouldn't be, or that they're not a trustworthy person. It's the fact that they want to protect themselves. It's protecting themselves from other nefarious players in the space that want to come after them. And that's the point. Like, there's solutions now. There are other ways to protect yourself without having to hide. You can still dox yourself. You can still be open about who you are and still protect yourself.
And I think also, I mean, you mentioned graffiti artists earlier, and part of the reason why they stayed anonymous was because they're doing something illegal. But another part of that was they didn't want the other graffiti artists to know who they were, because then you get into scenarios where you're fighting with the other people on the street. And as someone who, has been in, the few times that I've gone to jail, it's been because of getting busted for doing graffiti. So I know that scene. I've been part of that, and I just feel like you're hiding a lot. So I don't trust anybody who isn't upfront with who they are. So
I agree with you, and I agree with some of these other arguments out there. Like I was saying, I'm fairly neutral on this, but I'm not at the same time. I feel like there needs to be a solution here, and I kind of just propose something, and at the end of the day, maybe I'm the one that needs to build it, and I absolutely will if it's absolutely needed here. I don't know, everybody. I just put a poll in here at the top of the space. If you could go ahead and let us know your thoughts on the importance of anonymity in Web3. I want to get everybody's thoughts and let us know what you think. And if you want to speak on this, feel free to request to speak. Raise your hand. We'll get you in here. But hopping back to it, I think that our big issue with anonymity is it does have its use case in certain scenarios. There is not the case of you were bringing up shell companies. Transactions that happen with shell companies, we're not going to be able to do that same type of thing in Web3. But the origin of an NFT or an origin of a transaction of any kind on cryptocurrency and on the blockchain, we should have some sort of verification process in place. And I feel that is extremely important. And with known protocol, it innately takes care of some of that. But who's to say that I don't have a person out there that I've never dealt with? They're coming out, they really want to get something out, and they want to hide behind an avatar and some fake name on Twitter and everywhere else. They're using a pseudonym, and who's to say they're not a bad actor? I mean, there's a lot of people coming out that are smooth talkers, can build up audiences in the communities that they deal with, and they're able to pull a quick one on a lot of people. And with the known protocol, there's a lot that could be endangered if it's not built out appropriately for a verification process. Fortunately for us, at LITH Token, we actually have the environmental social governance dashboard that we're working on. We're trying to build a decentralized version, not a liberal ideological establishment that's all about centralization. I don't want to sit here and say I'm destroying liberalism or their ideals, but the true democracy can be brought to the forefront with our ESG dashboard. And in that does, of course, come verifications and third-party audits. So, that's already built into the known protocol coming over time. But I think in general, for people, when they start trying to use these different technologies in Web3, they're not helping themselves when they create a new project. And I don't think people should be going to projects where people are not willing to dox. They're not willing to put themselves out there. There's so many protections already there on the blockchain. And for us at LITH Token, I've told everybody, make sure you're on hardware wallets, and if you're going to transact, make sure that you communicate with me and we do it the appropriate way, so that way the right movement of tokens and stuff, nobody's getting held hostage at any point. There's no ransoms. There's not nobody's going to be able to track you down, because there's right ways and wrong ways to do this. They're actually fairly simple. And if you're in this space, I don't think that's an excuse, because you should be knowledgeable enough on being able to protect yourself from those kinds of attacks. I think that's really an important thing to discuss, that this space really is not talking about. People talk about that surface level endangering the creators because, they made $5 million. Now they're going to be held ransom by being held hostage. And that doesn't make sense to me, because if you're actually in this space right now currently developing, there's not a need for that. But if there's a verification system in place, it totally makes sense. And that is, again, one of the beautiful things. LITH Token's already working on all these things. Rob Roy, you were like, what was it yesterday? Just like, I don't know if we should talk about this, but I want to propose it. And I was already ready to talk about it, because absolutely, these are things that we've been talking about for a year and a half now, and working on solving these issues. Known protocol being the biggest, what's a better word? It's the lowest hanging fruit. That is really going to change the game for everybody out there. And I think it provides that first layer just on its own innately. When artists go to create physical object, oracleize it on the blockchain, if they want to be anonymous right now, there's still a level of authentication that's able to be done using digital and physical objects, and being able to oracleize it through our protocol.
It actually solves a couple different problems, because let's say I do want to become anonymous. Like, I don't want to be on social media anymore. I want to try and wipe myself off the web, which I know I can't. But let's say I want to. This would allow me to do that. This would allow me to become anonymous. But like Web3 Gallery said earlier, there's still that piece that makes me that makes it so that I'm not anonymous to the buyer. Like, they know that it's the piece that I made, because the chip that I put in the painting or the drawing or the print or whatever is there, and it's tied to the NFT. So I can become anonymous to the rest of the world and disappear off social media or whatever. but my work can still be verified. So it solves a couple problems for the artist who does want to be anonymous, but also doesn't want to have their work diluted in value by a bunch of people pretending to be them. So it's perfect.
Right. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this today, is just because it solves, I would say, 60% of the issue with this debate. Not all of it, of course. And I think there's that added element of the verifying that the person who says they are is who they say they are. So step one is already done, ready to go, and my dog is one to bark and tell me that I'm absolutely right. But hold on. Jason, you being in the degen space, I want to hear from you, dude. I want to hear from you a little bit. Where's your head at? Jason, Ninja, are you there? He's not there. So he's forgetting to hit the speaker button, I think, or mute button. But wow. Yeah, there's just so many elements to this. I think at the end of the day, we're really going to keep trying to solve problems as a community, and the anonymity, being able to protect people from being rug pulled and scammed is a huge thing. And as we move into tangible assets, and this being the next big movement, it's super important that we're all aware of who we're dealing with. And what really sparked me to have this conversation was more about this guy named Beanie, who just popped in to Twitter Spaces recently, and he rug pulled on like 4 different projects, and is a known scammer. And he was brought back to life inside of Twitter Spaces this week, and nobody really knew who he was, and people were starting to come to his defense not knowing who he was. And it was one of the wildest things. And I just am seeing that people are not really able to do their own research for whatever reason. I don't know if it's IQ levels are lower in this space. And I don't mean that to diminish anything, because there's so many of the smartest people in this space at the same time. But I think there's a reality that we have to face, that a lot of people don't know how to do their own research, and we need to make sure that we're able to provide the right information out there and be transparent. And there's ways to do that anonymously. And I don't think people have really wrapped their heads around that so much as we have right now over here at LITH Token, which is really a cool thing to get behind. Being able to create a layer of privacy utilizing very transparent blockchains. So that's
you know, Adam, I don't know. I mean, when you said, you know, IQ's lower or whatever, like I honestly, I'm not really sure that's what it is. I think people are so hyped to try and make money. Like, oh wait, maybe I can flip this, and maybe I can make 4 or 5 ETH on this thing in like 30 seconds or whatever. I think that they're so tempted. It's the same. We've been seeing people get the rug pulled out from underneath them for thousands of years by scammers. So the scammers here are no different than the scammers from the past. It's just a different space that they're in. So you have to be aware of the people around you, and you have to know that who you're doing business with is for real, or you're going to get scammed. That's just the way it works. So people have to stop thinking, "Oh, I can make a quick buck," and move forward in a different way. That's all.
Well, you know, I'd add to that a little bit as well, primarily because, you know, it's not necessarily that people's intelligence is lower, but it's kind of like it becomes like the herd mentality, and like Rob Roy's saying, you know, when you're getting emotional, when you're in these different states of euphoria or despair, it affects your thinking, it affects your decision making. But on the when people are like rushing to someone's defense, you know, without knowing who they are, I mean, I think that's typically just like that's just the kind of stuff that people do on social media. I mean, that's like the self-righteous, like, oh, I'm gonna like, I'm gonna stand up for everyone that's been, everyone that's getting bullied online without actually knowing what the context is. I mean, it happens a lot. It's not just at space. But yeah, it's kind of like the herd mentality. When you get a bunch of people together, their IQ collectively drops. Everyone stops thinking like they normally would, and they become more irrational. And like you add that with like the emotions of making and losing money, people. I mean, like we're a special breed.
There's also a little bit of the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is, I think everybody thinks they stumbled upon something new. That I don't know. I think everyone falls victim to that a little bit sometimes. So when something seems too good to be true, a lot of times it is. that's I don't know. That was all. Dunning-Kruger effect, adding that on to everything Jason's saying.
Yeah, and Jason, that's why I wanted you to hop in, because you really brought a good point to the table. Is the emotions have a lot more to do with it. It's a very high emotion, high stakes game for a lot of people, and when it comes to anonymity, you can be blindsided when you're really just looking to make a quick buck, or out there dealing with this hype marketing, or you can be quick to even look at a blockchain and see, hey, this wallet has 8 transactions. They've 7 of the 8 were great. This other one, I don't understand the 50,000 different transactions that have happened here outside of that, and I don't have the ability necessarily to have the time right now to look at the fact that this contract over here transacted 14 times, and I don't know what that contract says because I didn't even look at it, because I didn't have the time, because I was so emotionally driven by this movement. And I think it's important for artists, especially in this space right now, to harness that emotional aspect. And when I say artists, I'm not just talking digital creators in the NFT space. I mean, here at LITH Token, we're all about the tangible assets, the in real life assets, and the artists that are there. I think it is a wise thing to tap into that market. 100%. You go to Christie's, and some of the best auctions are from very emotional buyers. I mean, if the Guggenheims were still buying the way that they used to, and they were to step into some of these auctions at these auction houses, they'd 100% be buying off emotion. That's how they did it. But I think it's important to play it safely and figure it out. And one of the beautiful things about our community that we have built up here, for those of you that are new, and we have a ton of new people in here, love it. Thank you guys. New people, while I'm on that, go ahead and hit that retweet if you have a chance. It's just bottom right corner. If you hit the comment bubble, pull it up, you can just retweet our space. Let us know that you're actually listening. Love it. Interactions, amazing. And hopping back to the emotion and the artist, tying into it is absolutely critical. But being part of this community, you don't have to be anonymous, and you can be protected in the right ways, because we have people in this brain trust that are looking after each other. And I wish Web3 space as a whole was working more that way. I think that's one of the big detriments to Web3 right now. It's going through an infancy stage and learning how to get through those issues that cryptocurrency went through years ago. And it's them getting through that. In 2013, blockchain and cryptocurrency were about to be removed by Congress, but they realized, hey, we can't do it. And the reason was because everybody was forced to grow real quickly, start looking after each other, and start saying, okay, these big transactions that we're doing, we need to make sure that we're doing it in a safe way, and we're not starting to endanger ourselves. So I think that same thing is going to be happening in Web3 over the next little while. When people come in, they start seeing communities like ours. Look at us. We're one of the faster growing communities that just a few weeks ago was at 0 people in Twitter space. Grown on Twitter alone, but everywhere else, we get to have this community that's coming together. And you go to our Telegram, you go to our Discord, you go to any of our platforms, It's all about the community looking after each other. And it's something that in Web3 has been more of a, I don't know, a battle between everybody in each project. And at some point, we've all got to come together. So I just want to bring that into the discussion here. And then we've got Tiger Bob 49. I'll bring you up here real quick. Love the name. And actually, it's not allowing me to do it. Once again, Sean, if you could do that, that would be awesome.
I'm not seeing the request. If you request again, oh wait, no, he's a speaker.
Oh, there he is. Tiger Bob, you want to hop in?
Yeah, sure. Before I do, though, let me just sort of, I have an interesting relationship, I guess, when it comes to sort of like anonymity versus real names being proof, if you will. So my Twitter account here, obviously, there's no name attached to it. That's because my actual Twitter account got suspended unjustly. I served him with a lawsuit, in fact, in March of 2020. You can Google my name. It's Jeff, Geoff, and my last name is Goldberg. I have a company that specifically focuses on identifying social media manipulation. And so I kind of look at the lens of anonymity through one in which, you know, there are authoritarian regimes, right, where if you want to voice your opinion on a platform like Twitter, you can literally be killed. So anonymity is quite important. The flip side of that is it allows these sort of big tech companies to, I think, in a very gray way, allow sock puppet accounts, you know, fake personas, if you will, to, you know, modify trending hashtags. This stuff can actually have a lot of real world impact. And sort of at the expense of sounding like a dick here, Adam, you know, this space is titled Identity and Transparency. Yet your Twitter account created last month is loaded with fake followers. You're talking about the organic community growth, and I have to step in and call a little bullshit there.
No, hey, you know what? I'm actually transparent about that, and I've let my community know that I absolutely did that just to get a little bit of numbers and play on those algorithms, exactly like you said. And if you were to do a trail, I'm actually dealing with the deleted Twitter the same way. But my name's there. You can check me out over on LinkedIn and Facebook and stuff. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I'm on the same page.
I appreciate sort of the honesty there. I'm new to you, so I wasn't aware that you kind of have openly discussed this, but I just felt compelled to kind of jump in and, you know, call some attention there. That's all, man.
And actually, like, I want to jump in on that too, because I was really kind of pissed. I almost blocked Adam when he followed me, because like on Twitter of the whole group, of the whole team, until Adam got this thing, I had the most connections, and it's all like an organic thing just for my art, whatever. And I don't have huge numbers. Like I've got close to 1,200 or something like that. It's not a lot, but I had the most, and it was like, hey, I've got the most. And then all of a sudden he shows up with this giant account. I'm like, damn it, dude, what are you doing? So yeah, thank you for calling him out. And I just
it's
Tiger Bob, because I honestly do know who you are, and I remember your account from Twitter back. So yeah, I know.
Yeah,
who you are.
I did a lot of stuff sort of in the earlier days around, you know, calling out the quote XRP army. Back then, they were the sort of the standard, if you will, when it came to sort of having these online armies of accounts. Let's say you're a reporter with CoinDesk, with Forbes, you publish something that's factually correct, you then get bombarded by all these sock puppet accounts. It's annoying. It makes the Twitter experience just not one in which you want to spend time on the platform, right? So now, of course, particularly around NFTs, and I've done some writing and research around this as well, this is around most projects. It's certainly around most crypto communities, you know, whether it's Ethereum, Solana, but XRP sort of back in the day, they were like the earlier ones and kind of really using troll armies, if you will, and platform manipulation in sort of an effective way, I would say. Now it's sort of like you allocate part of your marketing budget to it if you're launching an NFT project. That's the sad reality.
Yeah, that is a sad reality, and you know there has to be some sort of growth hacking there somewhere, and it's unfortunate. I don't even like it, but you know
it's a cult mentality, and it's disgusting.
Yep. Yeah, it is. 100% is. But the saddest part about it is it works. It actually works. So that's that's where it's really important. Like somebody like me who's self-doxed and literally out here, I have no problem telling people that. Like I'm not even embarrassed saying that, Tiger Bob, or Jeff, because it's just the sad reality that everything is gamed right now, and you have to be careful and know and be able to do your research. You know, there is a reason I have my real name in there, and I've gone out there. I have no issue telling anybody, hey guys, this is a really gamed account, but you know what? I've never gained so many real followers from it either than I as fast as I have than when I had an account that wasn't gamed like that. Eventually all those bots are going to go away. We all know that that's coming. So I decided to take that risk myself, throw it out there and do it. But eventually it's going to change. It's not even going to be able to happen that way. Hopefully with Elon coming in, we'll see. I don't know where everybody's heads are at with that. But it is super important because not everybody's as sharp as you, Tiger Bob. They can't jump in and just see that, oh, hey, these are all bots. They look at that follower count and that's it. That's a lot of people.
From like a social proof perspective, right, Adam? So let's say somebody sees one of your tweets, it has 3 retweets versus that same tweet's got 376 retweets. To your point, Adam, about gaining followers at a quicker rate when you have a larger number to start there, people may be more likely to retweet that content from you when they see it has 374 retweets. Most of them could be fucking fake, right? It's artificial amplification. Versus when there's 3 retweets, they may be less apt to do so.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. And being able to really know who you're dealing with is really important. And I'm actually glad that I did this just very recently. I can't even remember how many days ago was it, guys, that I did this. 5, 4, something like that. Right before
I've been mad
talking
at
on
you
this.
for about a week now, so probably about a week.
No, it helps stimulate the conversation even more. And I love Tiger Bob coming in and calling bullshit. That's the amazing part about it, because the transparency here in blockchain, it needs to be upped a little bit, because there are people that are doing this nefariously. And there's a lot of people out there doing that.
For sure. And I appreciate the way you handled it, gracefully and honest, as opposed to, making up some bullshit. So kudos to you, man.
No, thanks. No, I'm out here. I've been in cryptocurrency for quite a while, in the trenches in areas. I can talk about Volantis and the fucking scam that they ran on BTC OTC trades back in 17, 18, and different things I was working on in IRC chat rooms back before Bitcoin even happened. But this me coming out now and building a project with an amazing team. You've got to find those growth hacks. There's just a reality that you got to do that, and some of it becomes too manipulative. And I'm not going to be the person that sits here and goes out and bots with those retweets to do what you were saying, because that's where you're not able to see your actual analytics and get that true organic growth and true organic engagements.
But let's say you're BitBoy or one of these other quote influencers who's taking huge payments from projects to sort of promote them. You want to reflect a much larger number in your analytics. So in those cases it's dishonest, but it certainly helps as well, I would say.
Yeah, no, it does help them. But, in the case of BitBoy, you can look at him, you can point your finger at him and say, hey, we know who you are. We can actually go ahead and hold you accountable to the fact that you're having those numbers gamed. There's so much of that going on right now, guys. And you have to not just look at the avatar retweet numbers right now. You really need to be looking deeper into it. And that's kind of the point in all of this. And until blockchain actually figures it out, you're
I'm a very emotional person. I'm extremely passionate about who I am, what I do, but I'm very honest about who I am. Like I said earlier, I've done graffiti. I played the anonymous thing. I'm a drag queen as well. I have a persona that's my drag persona, which I don't talk about that much. But I'm very open with the fact that that's who I am. And if someone says, "Hey, I kind of, I blah 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 blah," yeah, that's me. Like, I'm not going to hide that. But I think that a lot of people will do that. They hide who they are